Okay, fifth graders, let's talk about our next project and this word murals. Mural design is what we're going to get some inspiration from to create our design for our next project. So let's find out what murals are and how we can use some art elements to create a mural design. So a mural is any work of art that is painted or just applied directly onto a wall, a ceiling, or any large permanent surface. So on this picture down below, you can see this mural is very large compared to the people standing in front of it. It is painted on the side of a building. So any permanent surface like a building or a wall that is very large can have a mural on it. So murals have been around for a long time. Murals started hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and they started in churches actually. So churches would hire artists to create murals on the ceilings and on the walls to help tell the stories of the Bible. So that's how murals started. Murals are a little bit different today though. An artist can still be hired to paint a mural on a wall, or they can just paint one because they want to. So artists today are using their own creative designs to show whatever they want in their mural. Maybe it's a character or something funny, maybe it's something very emotional, or maybe it's just some shapes designed next to each other. So murals can be very different today from each other. So we are going to be using lots of shapes when we create our mural designs. So we need to know the difference between two types of shapes, geometric and freeform shapes. So geometric shapes are shapes that have names like circles, squares, triangles, etc. Sometimes you might see these in math class. They have lots of straight lines, angles, and points, and we can put a specific name to these shapes. So in the box next to the geometric shapes on your notes, draw some of these geometric shapes in that box, at least 3. Now freeform shapes are just the opposite. These are shapes without any specific names. We usually see these in nature and they have lots of curves to them. So humans, plants, animals are all freeform shapes. So sometimes they can just be blobby shapes like this and very random, or sometimes they can be more specific, like something that looks like a plant, something in nature. So fill up your next box in your notes with some freeform shapes. Now let's look at some artists who use different types of shapes in their murals. Maya Hayek is one of my favorite artists, and she uses geometric mural designs. So lots of colorful shapes and shapes that have names that we can see in math class. And she's filling up this side of this building with lots of those shapes. Here's a close-up of one of her works of art. And again, she's overlapping shapes. She's using many colors and a variety of shapes, different types of shapes to make her space of her work of art on this building look very interesting. Now, John Bergerman is an artist who also uses shapes, but these are not geometric. These are more free-form, organic shapes. He's standing right here in front of one of his murals, so he does create murals as well. And again, a lot of his murals are just characters kind of packed into one space. So they're all kind of flowing together, and sometimes they're very funny and silly, and he's just using these free-form shapes to create his art. Here's another artist who's using lots of characters, lots of free-form shapes just put together, and his name is Kirby Rosanas. If you look very closely at his art, you can see all these tiny little characters packed into one space. So we could call him a doodle artist. Doodles are little tiny drawings of characters, things that are kind of funny and silly. So your job is going to be to create a mural design that combines geometric shapes and freeform shapes. So these two shapes will be combined into one work of art. So if you look at some fifth graders from other years who have created this project, they're starting in the background with many colorful geometric shapes, and then later they're drawing on top with their organic doodle designs. So it's a 2-part art project, and it combines different shapes together to create one whole work of art. Here's some more examples from some fifth graders. They're getting very detailed with their shapes in the background and their doodle designs on top. So the next part of your notes, we're going to focus on the geometric shapes that are going to be in the background, the shapes that are going to be colorful and behind the freeform doodles. This is the first part of our project, which we'll focus on for the next couple weeks. So the first blank on your notes is where you need to write the word movement. Movement is how the eye travels through a work of art. you can look at these two works of art right here, you can see a lot of movement. If I look at the lines and shapes, it is moving my eye back and forth between the work of art. So my eye might start here with these lines, and it might jump over here, and then jump over here, and jump over here. So my eye is moving a lot throughout this work of art. So it's showing movement. Same thing with this work of art here. There's lots of lines and shapes that go back and forth and make my eye travel throughout the work of art. So my eye is moving throughout this work of art. It looks like the work of art is moving itself. The next blank down below that is rhythm and pattern. So write the words rhythm/pattern. Rhythm and pattern are very similar. They're both just repeating shapes, lines, and forms in a work of art. So if I look at this work of art right here, I can see many different colored triangles repeated. So it's kind of like a rhythm in music class. You might think of triangle, 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 triangle. And the more you repeat that, it kind of becomes a beat. Same thing for this work of art right here. Lots of rectangles that are repeated over and over and over that create a pattern. Okay, the next box up above is balance. Balance is when an artist distributes visual weight in a work of art. So what that just means is all the elements in the work of art are balanced. Not one side of the work of art is heavier with lines and shapes than the other side. So this work of art here is very balanced from the center. Your eye might start here and then travel around and around and around, and all the elements look like they're very balanced and working together. So this side isn't heavier than this side. This is also showing balance, this work of art. So this area right here has as many lines and shapes as this area. It's equally interesting on both sides. If this area just had one green triangle, that wouldn't be very balanced. Okay, the next box down below, write the word contrast. Contrast, we've heard this word before. It just means the difference between elements in a work of art. So you could have color contrast, like this work of art here. The black and white are very different, so they contrast each other. You could have shape contrast as well. In this work of art, there's lots of different contrast between shapes. Lots of geometric shapes and organic shapes put together. So different types of shapes contrasting each other. Okay, the last blank is emphasis. Emphasis is the creation of a focal point in a work of art. So a focal point just means a center where your eye goes first, or a center that is more detailed than the rest. So in this work of art here, the focal point would be this colorful line. The reason why is because it's different from the background. It stands out to my eye. In this work of art here, the focal point would be the butterfly. The reason why is because a lot of the lines are pointing my eye towards the butterfly, and the butterfly is a lot more detailed than the rest of the work of art. So it is the point, the focal point, where my eyes go first in this work of art. So we are going to be using all of these elements to create our work of art